heart. From the streets to the studio, we'll bring you real talk.
Yes, a beautiful morning to you listeners out there. A beautiful morning to you, and you're welcome to today's edition of In the Papers. It is a brand new month, the 1st of June, bringing with it fresh opportunities, new expectation, and of course, a fresh set of headlines shaping conversations around us. I am Inioluwa Adekoya, and with me on the program this morning is
Florence Ibarimo.
And we are delighted to have you join us as we take a look at major news making rounds on the front pages of today's newspaper. And talking about the front page of today's newspaper, I've got with me the Sun newspaper, the Daily Post newspaper, the Daily Trust newspaper.
Yes, I have with me the Punch newspaper, the Nations newspaper, the Guardian newspaper, Daily Post, Daily Trust, and the Hope newspaper this morning.
Yes, and with that, we will take a short break. When we get back, we'll turn our attention to the headlines making rounds in this set papers this morning.
Yes, so glad to have you back. The program is still in the papers, your daily drive to news, making major headlines in today's newspaper. Of course, it's a new month, and we're wishing you happy new month all the way from iPower 102.7 FM. Straight into the headlines for today. That's coming to you from the Hope newspaper this morning, where we have Ondo Ekiti, Osun ramp up of flood control measures has rained peak.
And now to the Daily Post newspaper. DSS arrests 2 foreign nationals, 3 others over Niger school kidnapping.
Still talking Ondo State, Ondo police nab 6 suspects over alleged 71 million naira truck sales scam.
Yes, still on the Daily Post newspaper, talking Oyo kidnap. Tinubu approves recruitment of 1,000 forest guards.
Yes, still taking headlines from the Hope newspaper this morning, where we have this headline: NLC reject 100,000 naira wage proposal, demands 1 million naira monthly salary.
Yes, still on the Daily Post newspaper, talking 2027, ACF knocks Peter Obi one-term promise, Tinubu shambolic performance.
Away from the Punch, the Hope from my hand, and now to the Punch newspaper this morning, where we have APC demands probe as woman dies during Osun Accord Party primary.
Still taking headlines on the Daily Post newspaper. Why can't we quit begging? Corporate beggars flood FCT.
Okay, still on the Punch newspaper this morning, where we have workers threatened indefinite strike over wages and insecurity.
Still taking headlines on the Daily Post newspaper, and DLEA uncovers illicit drug consignment and water purifier machines from Europe.
Yes, we have this one coming to you from the Punch, and it says Nigeria will soon overcome security challenges, and that was from Oluremi Tinubu.
Still on the Daily Post newspaper, blackout eats 5 northern Nigeria states, Niger Republic.
Yes, away from the Punch and now to the Daily Post, where we have gunmen attack policemen in Anambra, kills 2.
Yes, still on Daily Post newspaper, INEC chair and Bukbita others on election observation program in South Korea.
Still taking headlines from Daily Post, where we have DSS arrests 2 foreign nationals, 3 others over Niger school kidnapping.
And now to the Daily Trust newspaper, talking primaries, candidate fate uncertain as party headquarters set to announce results.
Yes, still taking headlines, where we have this one from the Daily Post, where I read, I have disease that is not curable yet, and that was from Obasanjo.
Still talking Daily Trust, your teachers embark on strike as abducted colleagues.
Yes, still away from the Daily Post and now to the Nation's newspaper, where we have African CDC announces recovery of 4 Ebola affected health workers.
Still on the Daily Trust newspaper, murder of prominent cleric triggers crisis in Kwara community.
Yes, with that, we'll go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll drive straight into the news as regards the headlines for today. Yes, so glad to have you back to be a part of our programs. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at iVar1027FM. And of course, you can join us on Radio Garden. Now, straight to the headlines for today. This is coming to you from the Hope newspaper this morning, where we have Ondo, Ekiti, Osun ramp up flood control measures as rain peak. Now, the details. The Ondo, Ekiti and Osun state government have intensified flood mitigation measures as the 2026 raining season reaches its peak, with a focus of dreading water wave, distancing drainage, enforcing of environmental laws and public sanitation. Officials of the 3 states in separate interviews with the news agency of Nigeria, NAN, said proactive steps were being taken to reduce the impact of flooding in vulnerable communities. In Ondo State, the special advisor to the governor on erosion control and flood matters, Mr. Elisha Ebijimin, said flood prevention efforts in the state were about 80% completed, adding that government had intensified enlightenment campaigns for residents. It said intervention projects were ongoing in major flood-prone areas across the state, noting that the government had strengthened the setting of drainage channels and clearing of waterways. BJME urged residents to desist from dumping refuse in drains and waterways, warning that such practices remains a major cause of flooding in many communities. In Ekiti State, the chairman of the State Environmental Protection Agency, Chief Bamidele Oguntoyibo, said dredging and the slitting of waterways were ongoing in Ado Ekiti and other flood-prone communities. He listed affected areas to include Isho, Oshodi, Elemi, Iremide, Ureje, Olujobda, Falano, Moferiri, and the GRA third extension along the new Ikiti Road. Oguntoyibo disclosed that the government had spent about 475.2 million naira on the project in the last 18 months, adding that enforcement against illegal structure blocking waterways had also commenced. It said the measures followed warnings from the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, which identifies Ekiti as a potential fraud hotspot in 2026. For details of that story, see the Hope newspaper with this headline: Ondo, Ekiti, Osun ramp up flood control measures as rains peak.
And out to the Daily Post newspaper, DSS arrests 2 foreign nationals, 3 over Niger school kidnapping. And out to the details. The Department of State Service, DSS, has arrested 5 suspect armed careers, including 2 foreign nationals from Niger Republic in connection with the November 2025 attack on St. Mary's Catholic School in Papari, Niger State, where nearly 300 students and staffs were abducted. Security sources disclosed that the suspects were apprehended during a series of intelligence-led operations that also led to the recovery of a large cache of weapons, including a 15 AK-103 rifle, a 15 magazine, a 1,434 rounds of 7.62 mm's live ammunition. Recent reports that among those arrested are Yusuf Muhammad, also known as Bature, who is reportedly on the wanted list of Boko Haram terrorist groups, formerly known as Jamatu Ali Sunadida Wati Wa Jihad, and his associate Mubarak Ibrahim. The duo were intercepted along the Zaria-Kaduna highway while allegedly on their way to collect the consignment of arms from terrorist commanders. A follow-up operation led to the arrest of Goni Ibrahim, identified by security operatives as an international arms carrier for the Diffa region of Niger Republic, alongside his alleged accomplice Tukur Sani. According to sources, the weapons and ammunition were concealed in a blue vehicle used by the suspects during their movement. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, DSS arrests 2 foreign nationals, 3 others over Niger school kidnapping.
Away from the Hope newspaper from my end, and now to the Punch, where we have Labour reject 100,000 naira minimum wage proposal. Now the details. The Nigerian Labour Congress has dismissed the proposal of 100,000 naira as a minimum wage by the Nigerian Governors Forum, insisting that realistic living wage under the current economic controls should be as high as 1 million naira. The NLC spokesperson Benson Upia stated this in an interview with The Punch on Sunday. His reactions followed comments by the NGF chairman and governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, who disclosed that governors were considering a new national minimum wage of 100,000 naira. Abdulrazak, speaking during the Salah homage to the president Bola Tinubu in Lagos, said governors were already engaging the federal government and organized labor to arrive at a minimum structure that balances workers' welfare with fiscal sustainability. In a Facebook post on Saturday, the governor added that the proposal was informed by raising inflation, increasing living costs, and the growing financial burden on Nigerian workers. Reacting to the proposal, OPIA said that although the governor's consideration of a wage review was commendable, 100,000 naira was significantly below what workers require to cope with the current economy reality. The Labour leader cited the continued depreciation of the naira, rising inflation, increase in electricity tariff, high fuel price, decline purchasing power, and the impact of new tax measures as factor making a substantial higher wage necessary. OPIA urged that the government revenues had improved significantly and that should support enhanced remuneration for workers. The NLC spokesperson further stressed that the workforce remains the most valuable asset that any nation and should be adequately compensated to ensure productivity and economy growth. For details of that story, see the Punch newspaper with this headline: Labour rejects 100,000 naira minimum wage proposal.
Still taking headlines from the Daily Post newspaper, Amnesty International condemns demolition of Abuja community, alleges right violation. And now to the details. Amnesty International has strongly condemned the demolition of homes and properties in Durumi 3 community of Abuja, describing the exercise as arbitrary and violent forced eviction that left hundreds of residents homeless. In a statement issued recently, the human rights organization alleged that bulldozers accompanied by heavy armed police personnel entered the community at about 7 a.m. on Sunday, the 31st of May 2026, and demolished homes and while residents were inside. According to the Amnesty International, the operation demonstrated what it called the Federal Capital Territory Authority's disregard for due process and welfare of affected residents. The organization further added many homes were bulldozed while entire families were still inside, adding that exercise displaced hundreds of families and deprived several residents of their means of livelihood. The group further accused authorities of prioritizing the interest of private developers over the rights and well-being of the citizens. The organization argued that forced eviction constitutes violation of international recognized human rights, including the rights to adequate housing and the rights to indigenous communities. It noted that such actions can also expose affected persons to additional human rights concerns, including limited access to food, water, healthcare, education, employment, and protection from cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline: Amnesty International condemns demolition of Abuja communities, alleges route violation.
Still taking headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning, where we have cooking gas price surge despite higher domestic supply. Now the details. The price of liquefied petroleum gas, cooking gas, has continued to rise across the country despite a significant increase in its domestic production and a decline in imports. Data obtained from the Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authorities show that local production from refinery and gas processing plants accounted for the bulk of Nigerians' LPG supply between April 2025 and April 2026, reducing the country's dependency on imports. However, the increased domestic supply has not translated to lower prices for consumer, with the cost of cooking gas rising to as high as 2,000 naira per kilogram in some parts of the country. According to the NMDPRA data, average daily domestic LPG supply range between 3,300 and 4,500 tons throughout the period under review. In March and April 2026, local supply stood at 4,500 tons per day, accounting for the majority of national LPG availability. In contrast, imports by oil marketing companies that declined considerably during the period. Imported volume fell to 200 tons per day in March 2026 compared to 1,006 tons per day in November 2025 and 1,500 tons per day in December 2026. The report showed that total average daily LPG supply ranged between 4,200 tons and 5,200 tons, peaking at 5,200 tons per day in December before settling at 4,500 tons by April 2026. The steady domestic contribution has been linked to improve output from gas processing facilities and increase refinery capacity, including supply associated with the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. For details of that news, see the Punch newspaper with this headline: Cooking gas price surge despite higher domestic supply.
Still taking headlines from the Daily Post newspaper, talking Oyo kidnap. Tinubu approves recruitment of 1,000 forest guards. And now to the details. President Bola Tinubu has approved the recruitment of at least 1,000 foreign guards and the deployment of special rescue team following the abduction of teachers and students in Oyo State. This was contained in a statement issued by Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga. The development comes after the federal government delegation visited the Esele and Yawuta communities in Urire local government area of Oyo State in the wake of the abduction of pupils and teachers for Community Grammar School, Baptist and Nursery and Primary School and LA Primary School on the 15th of May 2026. The statement by the president reads, and I quote, as part of immediate measures to strengthen security in the area, President Tinubu has approved the recruitment of 1,000 forest guards in Oyo State in collaboration with the state government. The delegation also informed community leaders and lawmakers that their request for the establishment of military base in the area would be conveyed to the president for consideration and approval. Tinubu also ordered the rescue capabilities to intensify efforts to secure the release of the abducted pupils and teachers. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Oyo kidnap. Tinubu approves recruitment of 1,000 forest guards.
Yeah, still taking headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning, where we have APC demands probe as woman dies during Osun Accord Party primary. Now the details. The Osun State All Progressive Congress Governorship Campaign Council on Sunday demanded probe into the death of one Taliata Simbihat during the Accord Party primary in Ayedire Iwo Olaoluwa Federal Constituency held in Iwo, Osun State. The head Media and Publicity Committee of the Governorship Campaign Council, Remi Omowaye, in a statement obtained in Osogbo, alleged that the deceased was killed during the Accord Party primaries held in Iwo, saying violence and destruction of properties met the exercise in the state. Omowaye said reports emerging from different parts of the state painted a disturbing picture of chaos and bloodshed arising from the exercise. Commenting further, Omowaye noted that the reported death of Simbiat of Ward 3 Iwo, who is said lost alive during the violence, while no fewer than 30 persons reportedly sustained serious injuries in the local government. For details of that story, see the Punch newspaper with this headline: APC demands probe as woman dies during Osun Accord Party primary.
And now quickly to the Guardian newspaper. Bala Mohammed denies Jonathan VP slot rumors. And now to the details. Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State has dismissed reports suggesting he plans to become the running mate to former President Goodluck Jonathan ahead of the 2027 general election. Reported in March that Mohammed, who recently left the People's Democratic Party for the Allied People's Movement, was being considered as Jonathan's vice presidential candidate in a faction of PDP led by Kabiru Turaki. Recall that Jonathan was recently named as presidential candidate of the PDP faction for the 2027 elections. It was later ratified as the party flag bearer during the Special National Convention held at the faction office in Area 10, Gaki District, Abuja. Although the former president was absent from the event, a certificate of return was received on behalf of Fred Agbebi, a member of the House of Representatives for Bayelsa State. The speculation gained traction after Nuhu Sadu, a chieftain of the African Democratic Congress ADC, claimed in a post on X that reports indicated Mohammed was being considered as Jonathan's running mate for the 2027 polls. Responding to the claims, the Bauchi governor firmly denied the report, stating that his political ambition remains focused on representing Bauchi South Senatorial District under the platform of the APM. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Guardian newspaper with the headline, Bala Mohammed denies Jonathan VP slot rumors.
Yes, taking headlines from Daily Post, where we have gunmen attack police men in Anambra, kills 2. Now the details. Violent crime scene to have returned to Anambra as gunmen whose identities were not identified immediately ascertained by have attacked men in the Anambra State Police Command, killing at least 2 officers. The state has been peaceful for months following a heavy attack on criminals, especially gunmen masquerading as Biafra agitators until Sunday night incident. The incident happened along the Akwa Indikwehu Ifuama Road, where it was gathered that men accosted the policemen on patrol and shot at them, leaving 2 bodies on the main road. The keke operator plying the road last night, who witnessed the incident, said he was riding along the road when he suddenly started hearing gunshot ahead, prompting him to dump his motorcycle, his tricycle, and head into the bush for safety. In a voice note he made, he said, "After some time, I came out of the bush and retrieved my keke and continued my journey. Then I got to the spot where the thing happened. 2 policemen were lying on the road here. Their police van is parked by the roadside. I decided to make a voice note to post on the platform because I think one of the policemen is still alive, so that anyone who knows the police authority would tell them to go and save their members." When Daily Post reached out to the State Police Commander, Public Relations Officer SP Tochukwu Ikenga for reactions on the incident, his line was not reachable. No official police reactions have been made on the incident as of the time of filing this report. For details of that story, see Daily Post newspaper with this headline: Gunmen attack policeman in Anambra, kills 2.
Yes, still on the Guardian newspaper, talking Oyo abduction. Teachers begin strike as Tinubu deploys specialized rescue team. And now to the details. The Nigerian Union of Teachers has directed all primary and secondary schools teachers in Oyo State to begin an indefinite strike today over the continued captivity of teachers and students abducted from school in Orire local government area of the state. The union also directed the state wings across the country to organize solidarity rallies tomorrow to demand the unconditional release of the abducted teachers and learners. In a circular jointly signed by the National President of the Union, Comrade Audu Titus Amba, and the Secretary General Dr. Clinton J. Tibo, the NUT expressed concerns over what it described as the horrifying, inhumane, and traumatic conditions being endured by abducted teachers and students since the abduction on the 15th of May 2026. The union further lamented that despite previous appeals to government and security agencies to secure the release of the victim, they remained in captivity, while reports emerging from kidnappers then continue to generate anxiety amongst teachers, parents, and members of the public. According to the statement, the union was particularly disturbed by reports of the killing of some victims, as well as emotional appeal allegedly made by the abducted school principal and a teacher calling on the federal government or your state government, the NUT, ANCOPSS, and the well-meaning Nigerians to intervene and secure the release. The NUT further stated that the prolonged captivity of teachers and learners, coupled with the absence of any clear indication of their imminent rescue, informed its decision to direct teachers in Oyo State to suspend academic activities until the victims regain their freedom. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Guardian newspaper with the headline, Oyo abduction, teachers begin strike as Tinubu deploys specialized rescue team.
Away from the Punch and now to the Guardian, where we have NTCA. NTCA advocates stronger tobacco law amid rising youth smoking rate. Now the details. The Nigerian Tobacco Control Alliance (NTCA) has raised concerns over the growing influence of tobacco and nicotine products on Nigerian youth, calling for stricter enforcement of tobacco control laws to protect the country's next generation. In a statement issued to mark World No Tobacco Day 2026, the Alliance said this year's theme, unmasking the appeal countering nicotine and tobacco addiction, highlighted how tobacco companies deploy marketing strategies that exploit the aspiration, emotions, and fears of young people. The group noted that Nigerian youth are increasingly exposed to image of smoking, shisha, and vamping through music videos, fashion trend, and social media platform, where attractive flavors and branding often make tobacco products appear appealing. This came as the WHO Regional Director for Africa, Mohamed Yakubu Janabi, in a message to mark the 2026 World No Tobacco Day, warned that there is no such thing as safe tobacco use or safe level of non-therapeutic nicotine exposure. All tobacco and nicotine products, including cigarettes, cigar, smokeless tobacco, water pipes, tobacco, heated tobacco products, e-cigarettes, nicotine pouch, and other emerging nicotine-like products are harmful and addictive. According to the NTCA, recent studies indicate that nearly 1 of 5 school children aged 13 to 15 has tried at least one tobacco product, while about 1 of 10 currently smokes. It described the figure as alarming despite years of public health campaign, arguing that weak enforcement of the National Tobacco Control Act 2015 has continued to expose adolescents to subtle forms of tobacco promotion and recruitment. For details of that story, see the Guardian newspaper with this headline: NTCA advocates stronger tobacco laws amid rising youth smoking rates.
Still talking drug use, and the LEA uncover illicit drugs hidden in water purifier machines from Europe. And now to the details. Authorities of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency and the LEA have uncovered consignment of high-potency illicit drugs concealed in water purifier machines shipped from Lagos to the Netherlands. From the Netherlands. The illicit drug consignment, mainly ketamine, weighing 3 kilograms and 199 grams of MDMA ecstasy pills, carefully hidden in water purifier machines, were discovered and seized at the courier company in Lagos recently. In Kaduna, and the LEA operatives arrested a couple.
Yes, still taking headlines. We have this one from The Guardian that says Sanwo-Olu tax parents on responsible parenting to curb insecurity. Now the details. Wife of the Lagos State Governor Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu has called on parents and guardians to intensify efforts to instill good morals, discipline and spiritual values in their children, noting that the lapses in children's upbringing contribute to wider security challenges currently affecting the country. Sanwo-Olu, who spoke during the Eid al-Adha celebration held at the Lagos House Ikeja yesterday and organized by the Lagos State government in conjunction with the Ministry of Home Affairs, stated that when children are neglected and not properly trained, they may grow up to engage in acts that threatens the peace in the society. She recalled the recent abduction of school children and their teachers by gunmen in Orire local government Council of Oyo State, seeking divine intervention for their safe return. She also noted that the festival offers an opportunity for reflection on the virtues of faith, sacrifice, obedience, and submission to the will of Allah, as exemplified by Prophet Ibrahim. In his remark, a deputy governor of the state, Obafemi Amzat, stressed the need for parents to embrace responsible parenting by emulating the exemplary life of the Prophet. He noted that the Prophet's life was marked by obedience to God, patience, devotion, and unwavering commitment to family value, adding that their virtue remains essential for raising morally grounded children today. The deputy governor also stated that domestic violence, including beating of wives and the abuse of children, is contrary to the teaching of both Islam and Christianity. In his lecture, the chief imam of Lekki Central Mosque, Dr. Ridwan Jamiu, urged parents to serve as good role models for their words and stop forcing their opinion on them, especially when they are growing into adulthood. For details of that story, see the Guardian newspaper with this headline: Sanwo-Olu tax parents on responsible parenting to curb insecurity.
Still taking headlines from the Sun newspaper, Tinubu will crush criminal network secure Nigeria, says Oluremi. And now to the details. Nigerian First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu has reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to strengthen national security and dismantling criminal syndicates operating across the country. She gave this assurance during an engagement with traditional rulers in Ekiti State at the Jibowu All Government House at Do-Ekiti as part of a one-day working visit to the state. According to her, the administration is deepening both domestic and international security collaboration aimed at addressing kidnapping, banditry, and other violent crimes nationwide. The statement further reads, and I quote, "The US and some other developed countries are helping us on the matter. Some of those terrorizing us are non-Nigerians. No matter what happens, we shall overcome. Nigeria is too great to be intimidated." She further stressed that President Tinubu remains fully engaged in efforts to restore peace and stability across the Federation, noting that security operations are ongoing around the clock. She further stated, and I quote, "I can assure you, we don't have Mondays or Sundays. The president is working round the clock to get this matter resolved. At times, Mr. President will sleep at 3 a.m. and God has been faithful." The First Lady urged Nigerians to remain hopeful and prayerful, saying the collective effort is required to overcome this country's security challenges. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Sun newspaper with the headline, "Tinubu will crush criminal network secure Nigeria," says Oluremi.
You're still listening to us from iPower 102.7 FM. We would go on a short break, and when we come back, we continue the rest of the headlines for today. Yes, so glad to have you back. The program is still in the papers, your daily drive to news and making major headlines in today's newspaper. Yeah, still taking headlines and now to the Sun, where we have this headline. IGP calls for responsible use of police-related video content. Now the details. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Olatunji Disu, has called for greater responsibility and caution in the recording and circulation of police-related video content, warning that the misuse of such materials could undermine official morale, distort public perception, and negatively affect ongoing security operations across the country. The IGP made the call during an interactive session with members of the Crime Correspondent Association of Nigeria held at the Police Resources Center, Jabi, Abuja, while reaffirming that Nigerian police force a commitment to accountability, transparency, professionalism, and respect for human life. The IGP stressed the importance of balancing public scrutiny with operational realities and the welfare of officers working under difficult and high-risk conditions. According to him, police personnel continue to make erroneous sacrifice daily in discharge of their constitutional responsibility to and deserve public understanding and support. He cautioned against the growing trend of indiscriminate recording of police officers during routine and sensitive activities, noting that such actions could negatively impact morale at the time when security personnel are confronting multiple security challenges nationwide. The IGP also expressed concern over the circulation of old and misleading videos falsely presented as current incidents, stressing that such content contribute to misinformation, public panic, and unnecessary tension within the community. He urged members of the public and social media users to refrain from recycling old or manipulated video capture capable of circulating and creating panic in the society. For details of that story, see the Sun newspaper with this headline: IGP calls for responsible use of police-related video content.
And quickly to the Vanguard newspaper, talking insecurity. Your APC knocks Makinde demand resignation. And now to the details. The Oyo State chapter of the All Progressive Congress has criticized Governor Seyi Makinde for his comment on the security situation in the state, describing this as misrepresentation of constitutional role of state governors in addressing insecurity. In a statement by its spokesperson Olawale Sadari, the party faulted Makinde claim that he is constrained in tackling insecurity because security agencies are under control of the federal government. The APC described the governor's remark as an height of cluelessness, insincerity, and criminal ineptitude, insisting that he cannot shirk responsibility of the security challenges facing the state. According to the opposition party, Makinde comments were inappropriate and amounted to an attempt to shift blame for the worsening security situation in Oyo State. The party went further to call on the governor to resign from office, suggesting that his deputy should complete the remaining period of the administration. The APC reaction follows remarks credited to Makinde during his acceptance speech as the presidential candidate of the Allied People's Movement in Ibadan, where he lamented that there was little he could do to rescue kidnapped schoolchildren and other victims due to limited control over security agencies. Makinde had argued that the governors do not have absolute authority over security structures, a position the APC strongly rejected. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Vanguard newspaper with the headline: Insecurity in Oyo, APC knocks Makinde demands resignation.
Still taking headlines from the Punch, where we have Labour Party dismisses 150 million naira refund allegation by disqualified presidential aspirants. Now the details. The Labour Party on Sunday dismissed allegation of fraud and political sabotage leveled against it by a disqualified presidential aspirant, Peter Agada, who is demanding a refund of the 150 million naira paid to the party for his 2027 presidential nomination bid. Agada's demand was conveyed through a petition issued in Abuja on Saturday by his presidential campaign council following an exclusion from the party's presidential primary conducted on May 30. The council accused the party leadership of collecting expression of interest and nomination form fee from Agada, despite knowing he would not be allowed to contest because of the party's decision to zone its presidential ticket to the south. The petition, jointly signed by the council president Temilade Greg and secretary Blessing Eligwe, alleged that the party obtained 150 million naira from Agada, compromising 50 million naira for expression of interest and nomination form, and another 100 million naira in contribution towards the party's national convention and related activities. Greg insisted that the party acted in bad faith by accepting the payment, screening Agada, and allowing him to continue his campaign before eventually issuing him a disqualification letter shortly before the primary. The statement read, and I quote, "We members and supporters of Dr. Peter Agada, Presidential Campaign Council nationwide, have read with shock and disgust the self-indicting and contradicting confession by the Labour Party leadership confirming that the parties conspired to obtain under unfair pretense aspirant fee for expression of interest form and nomination fee and subsequent screening from the aspirants. The fee obtained by the party totaled 150 million naira, being 50 million naira for expression of interest, the nomination form, and another 100 million naira as induced contribution to the Umuahia National Convention and other party support activities, which were obtained from the presidential aspirant Dr. Peter Agada under the pretext and assurance of the party's support for his presidential race. We use this opportunity to state that any other sum different from the above published anywhere else is not true and is not from us. The council further cited a statement attributed to the party's national publicity secretary, Ken Ashogwa, in which he reportedly said the decision to zone the presidency to the south had long been settled and ratified at the party's national convention. For details of that story, see the Punch newspaper with this headline: LP dismisses 150 million naira refund allegation by disqualified presidential aspirant.
And quickly to the Nation newspaper, former defense spokesperson Rabe Abubakar wife abducted in Kaduna. And now to the details. The former director of Defense Information, Rabe Abubakar, and his wife have been abducted by suspected bandits in Katsina State. The couple were reportedly traveling towards Katsina when gunmen intercepted their vehicle in Matazu local government area and took them away. Abubakar Ali, spokesperson of the Katsina State Police Command, confirmed the incident. He said police had already launched a manhunt to rescue the general and his wife. Ali further stated the attack occurred at about 11 a.m. when the assailants, armed with dangerous weapons, intercepted a red Peugeot 406 salon carrying a general and his wife and traveling along the route. The driver, Abdullah Said, sustained a gunshot wound to his right arm. During the attack, the general and his wife were abducted before security operatives arrived at the scene. He said the Commissioner of Police had visited the scene for an on-the-spot assessment and deployed additional tactical units and resources to support rescue efforts. The statement further reads, and I quote, upon receiving the report, the divisional police officer of Matazu, accompanied by operatives of the Village Community Response Unit, VCRU, swiftly mobilized to the scene. The team secured the area and evacuated the injured driver to a medical facility for treatment. The PPRO assured residents that the command remains committed to tackling criminal activities across the state and urged the public to continue supporting security agencies with credible information. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Nation newspaper with the headline, Former Defense Spokesperson Rape Abubakar Wife Abducted in Castina.
You're still listening to us from iPower 102.7 FM. We would go on a short break. When we come back, we would wrap up for today. Yes, taking headlines. This is coming to you from The Punch, where we have Take It Back movement protester or your abduction demands a pupil's release. Now the details. Members of the Take It Back movement on Monday today staged a protest in the Mokola roundabout in Ibadan, Oyo State, over the worsened security situation in the state and the continued captivity of abducted pupils and teachers in Orire local government area. The protesters who convened on the busy junction in the state capital called on the government and security agencies to intensify effort to secure the release of the victim and address the rising cases of kidnapping across Oyo State. Carrying placards with various inscriptions, the demonstrators expressed concern over what they describe as a growing insecurity affecting residents, farmers, traders, and students. Some of the placard read, "Security for all, not for few. Governments must end kidnapping in Oyo State. We demand safer roads and communities. Protect farmers, traders, and students. And peace, security, and justice." Speaking during the protest, one of the demonstrators said, "Nigeria were becoming increasingly frustrated by the persistent security challenges confronting the country." The statement read further, "Let them know that the people of Nigeria are not at peace. Let them know that the people of Oyo State are not smiling. Let them know that Nigerian people are fed up with insecurity." The demonstration comes amid growing outrage over the abduction of pupils, students, and teachers during an attack in schools in the Esiele community of Orire local government area. For details of that story, see the Punch newspaper with this headline, "Take It Back movement protests or your abduction and demand pupils release."
Yes, glad to have you back. The program is in the papers on iPower 102.7 FM, and because our time is fast spent on the program, we will call it a wrap on today's edition of In the Papers. We hope this review has kept you informed of conversations making rounds in the papers this morning. Stay tuned to iPower 102.7 FM for endless list of entertaining and informative program coming your way. Until next time, I am Inioluwa Adekoya and
my name is Florence E. Barrymore. Many thanks for listening. Do have a beautiful week ahead.
Good morning.